If you can't hear me, you need to log back out and back in. All right. If you hear me now, sound should be good now. All right. Here we go. Here's the lock-in. Thank you very much. There's a disclaimer. Trading involves risk, loss of capital. Make sure you don't bet the farm. Don't bet anything you can't lose. It's a little bit about me. And stick around. At the end of the presentation, we're going to have a special offer for people. This room is associated with hit and run candlesticks and right way options, as well as the live trading alerts scanner. We'll talk a little bit about those. Agenda, as usual, we'll go over the economic and earnings calendars, do a quick market overview. We will then look at some trade ideas and some Q&A. This week I will not be able to do any Q&A due to time constraints. I do apologize as far as your own. I can do Q&A, but I can't do any look at your own stocks. All right, economic reports. Don't have anything on Monday. Tuesday, 9 o'clock, we have the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Home Price Index, and then FHFA House Price Index, both at 9 o'clock, and the Consumer Confidence at 10 after the market opens. On Wednesday, we got new home sales at 10, and petroleum report at 10:30. Thursday, at 8:30, we got GDP, international trade, and jobless claims all there. So that should be maybe a market-moving time. And on Friday at 8:30, we have durable goods and personal income, as well as consumer sentiment at 10. So a fairly healthy week in economic news. One other thing that I want to bring up before I forget is that this is a time for an annual seasonal trade from the 23rd, I guess, because it was really the 21st of September to the 2nd of October. For this week plus a couple of days into next week is a seasonal trade where, excuse me, normally we will have a bit of a bullish sentiment during that period of time. Just want to bring that up for your, so that you're aware of it. May want to look at it and see how it is. Trying to remember where I got that, but it shows up on my calendar every year. Actually, it shows up about 5 to 6 times a year, and they do quite well. Much better than 50-50. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just put an option trade in so I can define my risk. Earnings calendar for the coming week. We don't have anything on Monday of note because I've lowered the minimum daily requirement to about 275 because we didn't really have very many stocks out there. But the ones that are highlighted in yellow have approximately 10% short interest or more, and that's AutoZone. Most people probably cannot afford a $1,200 stock, but put a few $100s into an option, you might be able to do that. Nike out on Tuesday night for trading on Wednesday. Pier 1, I'm surprised that Rite Aid is still in business. KB Homes is out there, Accenture and ConAgra, Micron, and Progressive Insurance, PRGS on Friday. All right, so that's pretty much it. A pretty light event on earnings. Let's look and see where we get our next. Sorry, I'm just looking and it won't log in. calendars, earnings, September the 30th. No, towards the end. Costco. That should be the end of the week, so about the 15th of October. Yep. All right. There's where we start again, around the mid-October time frame. Now, you'd also know that there's a seasonal period of weakness from September to the first part of October, and a lot of times they'll say that October is a bullish month. Well, actually, October is bullish and bearish, or actually bearish then bullish. So it's fairly bearish until we get into earnings season, and it usually takes off around the middle of the room. Sorry, in the middle of the month. Okay. Let's do a little market overview. All right, this is the S&P 500. We basically did a dip down here and did what a very, very ragged bottom here of a bowl. And kind of we did double W's or something like that. But really the overall picture, if we do a 3-day or 4-day chart, is cup and handle. So left side, kind of the bottom, raggedy bottom, and then right back up. So we're pushing the highs. A lot of people are very negative on the market. My stochastics RSI is, the price is holding, but the stochastics RSI is helping us build momentum for the next move up. Now, when is that going to happen? I have no idea. Let's go over to crude oil and see what it's done. We had a big spike earlier in the week, last week, and then we backed off when that was when the attacks happened, I think on Saturday or Sunday of last weekend in Saudi Arabia, and then they realized that it wasn't going to cut off that much oil and get it right back online. And so we went back to settle down around 57.75. We still have an upward bias, but it'll take us a while. We'll probably go back up and retest $62 to $63. Those high volume highs usually get retested. It may be a ragged push to get there. It might take a couple of 3 weeks. But eventually we're probably going to drift up to that level. All right, let's go look at gold. Gold spiked up with that news as well. And then we kind of just settled back in. We're kind of curling back up, but my stochastics RSI is telling me that we put in a lower low, and then we're possibly going to put in a lower high. Now, depending upon what you look at a 1-day chart, the higher high would have to be over 1563, 6620 actually up here. So we'll have to see. Uptrend defined by higher highs and higher lows. Downtrends divided by lower highs and lower lows. Right now we're kind of in limbo land. And let's go. We went over the ES. Stochastics I already covered, and I covered the fact that we're holding up really well. Dow, same thing. Pulled back a little bit more. So a little bit weaker because we only got 30 stocks in there. I'm trying to remember which one it was that was kind of a drag. Could be Boeing, I'm not sure. NASDAQ, pretty strong, but a lot more volatility than the ES here, and it's pulling back, but not the straight line pullback. Russell, now for most of the year it's been our big laggard, but it played catch up at middle end of September here. And it also did a cup and handle, and it's probably ready to make a little bit of a move up. The VIX, well, surprisingly, we're down to 13 to 15 on the VIX here. We're having a little bit more volatility, and it's showing up here, but in the VIX itself, we're vacillating quite a bit. People trying to figure out what's going to go on next, and they really don't have a clue. All right, Let's go back to the presentation. All right, trade ideas. I'm going to bring those up here. I've got those in TC 2000. And in the longs, Advanced Auto Parts did a big, strong move up here. Again, off of earnings early, right back in here. This was the earnings date. It did a gap down. Took a while to kind of settle out, and then for whatever reason, they've decided to buy this, and it came back up to the prior levels around 160, and did kind of a rounded bottom breakout wannabe. Not enough percentage there, and looks like it may be wanting to try to do a zigzag higher. J-hook type of pattern. Hello, I'm Mr. Jig to you. Okay, up here the jig is up, and then pull back, and potentially here comes the breakout. Now, one thing that's kind of a negative on this is that the balance of power has backed off quite a bit. Apache oil, energy, oil and gas, get huge March spike up, beginning of the week, then pull back. If we get over this, 26 and a quarter level, I think it goes down to close to the 29s again and retest that high. If we go to a 60-minute chart, now this is the balance of power by Worden Brothers. And the Worden Brothers balance of power is proprietary, and I've been told that it's based upon some institutional information about big institutions buying or not buying stock, whether they're accumulating or distributing. I don't use it as a primary or even as a secondary necessarily indicator, but I will use it as maybe a secondary or tertiary indicator. So if I get a good solid price pattern and I have my stochastics RSI showing that we curl back up and go higher and the balance of power is strong, I think it'll be yet one more confirmation. But if it's on its own, I've never had any success trading it. Not at all. So in that point, I will agree with you that it's not the be all end all. Next one we have on the list is carbonite. If it was in a long downtrend here, did a pullback, bounce back up, and now appears, if I can go another drawing here, it's basically in this trading range here from just under 15 to just about 16, and good balance of power. I think that it's ready to attack 18.5, so you're anywhere around $2 for that. And this is how I use balance of power. Balance of power said that people were selling and they were distributing until right about here where we started to break up. Right about Labor Day, the institutions started to buy. So I think it's going to get to 1850, and then from there it's probably going to wobble around there. And what will cause it to move back up in to fill the gap or potentially fill the gap? Probably this earnings date up there at 11.7. It may take that long. I'm not going to go over Cloudera yet. I'm going to come back to those. Let's do that. C&Q, Canadian Natural Resources. Again, spiked up with the uncertainty in the Middle East. And if I go to an hourly chart, you're going to be able to see why I drew this line just about where it is right there. A very aggressive trader could probably go along about 27.55 or so. Looking for the first test would be the retest of the highs here. And the stop initially would probably have to be about 50 cents lower. So you risk 50 cents to maybe get $1.50. Good balance of power here, and that happened even before the spike up. Notice how it started to accumulate more balance of power back in here, which corresponds with the bottoming process that was going over here. As it approached the $23 level, investors, I'm not talking about traders, but investors decided that that's low enough. That was low enough for them. Justin, I will have to get that for you. Let's dive on off over. Okay, I'll show it here. Oh dear, I didn't want to do that. All right. It's in TC2000 as well there, but that's a good question, Maxim. What did you? That's not a good. Let's try this. Try that link there. I apologize. What we'll do is, why don't you ask that when I open up for general questions? I think that would be an excellent one for us to cover. You're welcome, sir. GT, again, this is an RBB pattern, and it's also got a J hook going on. What I think is first target is going to be about 1575, and from 1575, and once it gets through there, it'll probably try to attack the falling 200 somewhere around there. At least that's the target. So if we got there now, we got up to 1550, we would get somewhere around 12.5%. Good job there, Val. All right, my stock pick of the week really would be, if I had to pick one, was here is HCSG, Healthcare Service Group. And it's doing a bit of a J hook here with good balance of power right on top of the 50. Probably a move to 26 and a retest there at a minimum is in order, and then if it breaks out, you'll be into the gap. Next earnings October the 15th. HI, same thing, except it doesn't look, again, it doesn't have a buy signal here like HCSG has a bullish engulf. GT had a bullish engulf and a follow-through day. Well, HI doesn't have those yet. So again, I'm waiting for a buy signal. INSM, INSM, nice move up, and now just kind of trickling, grinding higher. What I'm seeing here is that this move down from about 22 down to about 17 and a half had very little buyers. It did have an overlap on this day right in here, these 2 days, but we're probably going to go up to this 2150 area. Volume is picking up, and I'm not sure if INSM, they did a rebalancing of the S&P 400 and 600s and the 1000, I think on last Thursday or so. So some of the stocks that are showing up here with good volume were picked up because they're a lot of institutions and ETFs have to pick those up. So I like to keep track of that. Just it's another. I don't trade it per se, but if I'm aware of it, it could get new buyers. And what happened here was Owens Corning back in here got a pop. That was on Friday the 13th. Maybe it was okay. It was Wednesday the 18th and whatever. People anticipated that this was going to get into the rebalance. Yeah, thank you. Do I use a script to pick it up? Nope. Um, I follow Seeking Alpha on a free trial type of thing and keep track of it that way, and the rebalancing shows up. I'm really more interested in if a rebalancing occurs in a stock that I'm interested in. So I don't necessarily go and look at what the rebalance is and then look at stocks that are being in the rebalance area. Although that could be a characteristic that you could use. I'm not sure how one would go about tracking those. A lot of times you'll find that, see, I think this got added middle end of the week last week, but you can see that people were, institutions were picking it up ahead of the rebalancing. They know what the formula is roughly. It's market cap, and when they see the market caps are going to do their quarterly adjustment, they go look at the market caps and figure out which ones are going to move in and which are going to move out, and they make a guess and make a trade off of it. Well, I just happened to pick up Owens Corning because of the pattern in the breakout, and then when I heard that it was doing the rebalancing being added to the S&P 400, I believe, it gave me confidence that it was probably going to continue to move up. And you can see right in here, that's probably one of the reasons why the heavy volume there on Friday, and bitch, a lot of it was near the close. Yep. And a lot of that volume was right there at the close. Market on close. All right, let's go on to the next one. After Murphy, NetApp. This has an RBB setup after a big move up, but it does not have a buy signal yet. I definitely have to have Maxim, not necessarily. Although big, huge institutions don't go after stocks that don't have a large market cap, because otherwise they would basically own the company. So if a lot of them will go in for stocks that have to have $1 billion in market cap or more. Some of the large institutions can't buy even a few 100,000 shares without moving the market. So they tend to avoid stocks, which is why I like to have stocks trade about $1 million or more in shares, because then I can probably guess that some institutions are in there with us and they'll move it. Now this one doesn't have a buy signal, and right now, if it moves back above the green line, I'm probably going to get a buy signal of some sort. It could be a bullish engulf or a kicker or something like that, where it gaps up against this low here, and stochastic RSI will probably curl up. Those would be buy signals to me. But until that happens, this is a non-starter. I just sit there and put it on my watch list. And if it fades and fades and fades and keeps going, I drop it off my watch list at some point. All right, another one here is New Skin. Again, RBB setup, but I don't have a buy signal yet. I'm going to wait. Now, I've got the balance of power and the stochastics RSI both starting to curl upwards a bit. But number one, I don't have a price buy signal yet. OLN. OLN's again, RBB, no buy signal yet, but stochastics RSI is set up. All I need is a good candle Monday or Tuesday. That's what I use watch lists for. Not necessarily ones that were buys yesterday or 2 days ago, but ones that are going to be a potential buy 1 or 2 days in advance. PRGO. All right. Good balance of power. Stochastics RSI to curl up. And we had kind of a bullish condition here, not a classic pattern here, but if it gets up over about 55.5, I would definitely be interested. Reggie, Good, strong move up, pull back. We kind of had somewhat of a doji-ish on Thursday and again followed on Friday. Again, if it gets over 15 and a quarter or so, I'm interested. If it doesn't, I sit and wait. Now, stochastics RSI and balance of power and volume are all pretty decent. They're supportive of a long position, given we have a buy signal. Tenneco. All right, nice strong move up from about 9 to 14 and a pullback. If we get a move, say above about 1350 or so, kind of a bullish signal here, you could go long. Your stop is probably going to have to be 75 cents or more back there, so make sure that you're going to give good reward to risk ratio. Balance of power has been in and out a little bit, and volume's just kind of eh. Stochastics RSI is telling me that it might be ready to go back up. T-Rex. Balance of power shows that it's curling back up, and it's just kind of been one of those, every time it pulls back to the 17, it's been a buy. The problem I have with this is that if it busts through $86, it's going to set a lower low. So if we get below this level here, the low was 85.32, I called it 86, and get below the volatility dots basically. But let me draw this. We get below this level right in here, we'll be making lower lows and lower highs. It will have changed from an uptrend to a downtrend. If you need to, I can use the exponential moving averages to help me realize that we're doing this pullback. That's why this is on the list. There's a little bit of a, well, it's not exactly a buy unless we really start to move up strongly. But it's one of those is don't get fooled into, oh yeah, it's a pullback, buy it. You know, I've got a move up a green candle on Friday. Well, it is, but it's kind of a weakish one. Two more. Tupperware. Pop out of the box setup on a 3-day chart. So let's go look at that. Here's a 3-day. And you can see how we've just kind of consolidated here. Good solid movement on price action for the last 3 days. Most of it here right on Friday. And not all of it at the close, but most of it, at least in the last 15 minutes of the day. All right, and I believe Tupperware might have been one that moved in or out. Where's the pop? No, the pop hasn't, it's in setup. There is no pop out of the box yet. It's getting ready for a potential one. The pop would be a move over about 16 and a quarter. Right. Again, what am I looking for, Maxim? I'm looking for the pop to be my buy signal, but I want to be looking at them before they happen or as they happen. Yeah, and the huge volume on Tupperware is possibly because it got added to an index. Let me see if that shows up. All right. S&P Dow Jones announces 9 companies set to join the S&P mid cap and 10 to join the small cap. And this is in toss. Tupperware, S&P mid cap constituent Signet will move to the S&P small cap 600. Actually, that's a move down, not a move up. But all this does is it says that there was volume, there was people going in and out. But price didn't move up. Whereas odds according to price moved up because it went from the 600 to the 400. All right. So different strokes for different folks. This could still go higher, but it's got to break out of the box first. Unum, continuation pattern. I'm going to go to a 3-day chart and you can see it even better. I think we're heading up to 32.5 at least. But we're going to need a buy signal. Right now we don't have it. Now, I want to go back up here to 2. Cloudera, CLDR. This is a good example of how you get a gap fill. We had a gap down. We went back up and retested the gap. Went down and actually retested the lows around $5. Then we gapped up into the gap. A lot of people probably went long on that gap up into the gap, said, oh, it's got to be filled. Well, it takes a while, and basically it had to ride this grind higher. This is probably on earnings. If that was 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe not. If this was on earnings, add 9, 10, 11, 12. That was on earnings. This I have no idea. It was probably maybe an upgrade from a broker or something. I don't know. They usually don't have legs. But earnings, good enough to make it fill the gap and go on. Could you have waited and gone in before earnings and then anticipating a gap fill? I don't. That's not how I trade. I try not to be in trades unless I've got a significant profit when they report earnings. And you noticed as we got into the last few days before earnings, the balance of power kind of dried up. People were not making positive or negative bets on it. They were waiting and seeing. They'd already placed their bets over here or waited till afterwards to place their bet. All right, the other one is Docu, a possible 45-degree runner. These happen a lot. If you get a big gap up, and they gap up to, say, a prior resistance level, okay, and then watch, say, the 2nd to the 5th day, they do a 45-degree run. They do that an awful lot. So not all of them do it, and they're not going to be screaming eagles higher, but their 45-degree angle could be a significant amount of money, because from here, where we possibly cut it in about 56.75 or so, well, it moved up almost $7, 12%. Not bad. I can take it, especially in an option position there with $50 stock. So you can get in there and then take your profits incrementally. Then after about 3 to 5 days, it starts to settle down and does more of a 15 to 20 degree angle, and the big euphoria of the announcement, the earnings, or whatever fades away. All right, let's go to some shorts. Okay, now I will warn you. The shorts I've got here are setups. Some of them may or may not have good reward to risk ratios without an intraday bounce. Most of them, in fact. These are probably some of the weakest shorts I've seen in a while. But I always have a list of longs and a list of shorts sitting on the sideline in case we get going as the market in one direction or the other. I'm not scrambling and making a last minute decision. So CDNS came back up here, did a reversion to the mean, and as long as it stays in below 68 and a quarter, it's basically a short. The problem I've got is that it's probably right now, I'm going to say guaranteed, it's probably going to hit the $65 level and then it's going to pause a little. So if you went short 66 and you have, say, a stop at 68, that's $2. And you're going in here and you've got less than $2 as a reward, that's not so good. So I'm thinking maybe either a bounce back up in here intraday and then a rollover, say on a 30 or a 60-minute chart. Whoops, I was on here's the daily. 60-minute chart, go up here, bounce back up, and then roll over, maybe 65. Possibly trade the 60-minute chart or let it go. Eight. EGHT. It bounced up to the 50, kind of a reversion of the mean, did a doji, and then a fall back on Friday. I could see it easily retesting 22 around the 200-day moving average. Risk to reward, make sure you get it there. They're talking the reward maybe $1.25. You're probably risking 80 cents or so. So it's iffy the way it is. Maybe with a intraday bounce into the mid 23s, 23.75 or so, and then roll over, that might work. EHTH, again, strong move down, followed by a bounce move up. Let's on some of these, let's also look at, there's a 3-day chart, or a 2-day chart, or a weekly chart. It looks at EGHT. Look at it on a 2-day. Look at it on a 3-day. They're still strong enough. EHTH. Look at it on a 2-day. Well, this doesn't look so bad if we get follow through, but my problem is some of the targets just don't look so good. HEI. This one looks okay, especially since it's $120 some odd stock. If I get an intraday bounce, I might be able to get a nice 2 to 3 day option trade here. MSI, again, not so great here for the risk reward. It already bounced off the 100 before. For me to really like this, I would have to maybe think that it's going below 163.25. What makes me think that? Look at the stochastics RSI. It's curling over. It's been down. It's bounced. It did its reverse to mean. It could not continue higher. This could be a trade, but when you're trading this one, you're counting on it breaking below the 163.75 level. If you think the markets are going to be bullish, I don't think I'd be doing that. All right, here's one that's had some really strange patterns. We shorted Overstock as it bounced off the 50-day and did a bear flag. It basically went back down and retested that low and the highs over here back in July. Then it did a rally. I have no idea why. I wasn't watching it, but it did 100% retracement of that rally. So this one, breaking this level here of 15, it could go lower. Kimberly, what would a 2 or 3 day chart tell me that a weekly doesn't? It tells me sooner. So right in here, well, it's the same thing as why would I use a hourly chart or 30-minute chart instead of a daily chart? I start with dailies, but then I may look and trade. I'll trade the 60 or 30-minute chart. I'll swing trade those just like I do the daily chart. Now, everything has to go back to a good daily chart. Let's look at, right here. If I wanted to get an early look at this on a daily chart, I see that. Let's say if I go to a weekly. Has Motorola failed on the weekly yet? Not exactly. But on the weekly, it's come back to the 17. You can't let it go any lower. What do I go to a 3 day chart? Hey, it already came back down here and it bounced. What is this possibly doing? Can you spell bear flag? Boom. That's what it's doing. It's just a different look at the same stock, and I will most definitely, when I see things like this is a really a large bear flag as well, now that we talk about it. A little ragged. Whoops. Nope. I didn't want to do that. Come on. Catch up to me. Down. There was the bear flag, and it's starting to break lower. Now that's on a daily. But it took 2 to 3 days to break through the flag there. If you waited for the weekly, it wouldn't. Okay. overstock. We covered QSR. Again, this is one of those you would have to anticipate that it's going to continue. There's the down, there's the bounce, kind of the bear flag, and it's going to go lower. If you don't think it's going to break through 71.50, you should probably wait and make it prove that it wants to get below 71.50. Some of these are going to be, if they turn short, they're going to be shorts after the breakdown, maybe after 164.30 here on MSI. Starbucks, I hate to say this, but Starbucks is making lower highs and lower lows. It broke through the 50. It did a bounce back up, and this is a prime example of it breaking back up to support, now becoming resistance. And unfortunately, if it breaks 89.25, she'd be gone. Yeah. And Viv's on my list. Yum's on my list. Tivity was strong a while back, but it's looking for a retest of 1650. Stochastic RSI says it's almost ready to bounce. It's oversold. Maybe. Price first. Stochastic RSI will follow price. Twilio. Strong move down. Bear flag. Then a move down and retest the low. 108.60. Will it go back down to 108.60 again? Probably. Will it stop there or bust through there this time? I don't know. With the negative BOP and the stochastic RSI curling the way it is right now, I think it's got a pretty high probability of breaking through that 110 area. Viv. So Maxim was telling you that Viv was a strong one back here in the late spring, early summer. Then it went into this channel. We did pop out of the channel, came back down to the bottom of it, kind of breaking the top here, or trying to. You got some bottom fissures going on here. Are they going to win out or not? I do not know. If it gets over 151 or so, it's not a short anymore. So this is kind of an iffy one. V's probably more on there as an example of, just because it breaks up above the downward channel doesn't mean it's off to the races. VRNT. Boom. Down. Bounce back up. It looks like it's trying to hold here. So I don't think this is probably a good short. I'm going to go ahead and move that one off of my list. Yum. Yum is a very good example of a classic blue ice failure. And what a blue ice failure is telling us is a stock came and busted through the 50. Notice that it paused there for a couple of days. Went down somewhere midpoint of that, in this case the 100-day period moving average. A bounce back up to retest ice, which is the 50. And now it looks like it's going to drop all the way down to the bottom of the lake. Like the dead body, it's going to drop down to the 200. That is the pattern that you would be playing. Your checkpoint is when it gets down to about 110, 110 and a half. Yeah, I'm less of a fan of the dreaded H. The H pattern, you can see it a lot more in arrears. Because to me, a lot of the times, if you watch it, a lot of times when you get that, you get the double bottom and then it starts moving back up, or then it chops or it grinds higher. But the biggie is, if you go short and it doesn't break through there, you got to get the heck out. Not always. The dreaded H pattern here is going, it's superimposed over the top of the blue ice failure. But what if that was occurring higher or lower than the 50? Then it's not a classic blue ice. I actually have a pattern that I look for when we were in a bearish market. is the red ice failure, where we do the same thing around the 200. It tries to hold and it busts through. That's a really weak stock and usually a weak bargain. Okay, let's go on back to the presentation real quick. All right, I said we'd have a special offer out here. There is a 60-day trial offer for those who might be interested. You're welcome. Less than 60, 80 cents a day. $25 a month for 2 months of either hit and run candlesticks, which primarily talks about stock swings, and right way options, which we'll talk a little bit about stock swings, but does focus a lot on options. If you want to learn how to trade options, I strongly recommend that you come in and listen to what Doug has to say. Ask him questions. He has a ton of materials in the members only section about how to trade options. And he's probably the best options trader on a swing trade basis that I've ever run across in 20-something years of trading. Bar none. Now, Rick has his ways of trading, his styles, and they're good and they work. But there are other people in and out there that have got similar types of trading. I think it's unique with Doug. Maybe I'm showing favoritism for one over the other. You could say that, but I love them both. You can follow me on Top Gun Trading on StockTwits. I tend to post occasionally. And Doug will take the time to answer your questions, of course. YouTube, there is my YouTube channel. The recording from tonight's session will be on later on that channel. And I'm going to be able to take just general questions because I'm running out of time. Now, I had asked somebody to repeat the question later. You're welcome, Ray. Who was it that was? How to choose from the multiple choices. Yes, thank you. All right. First of all, long, short. Well, I have a long bias right now. And it has nothing to do with the seasonality. Okay? Good there, Justin. I'll get both of these. All right, so my number one, one second, let me wet my whistle. Because I see the markets as probably going higher, and if we go and look at the ES, I think we did a cup and handle. My stochastics RSI says that if we can get a push higher, we could go to higher highs. And it may not be a melt up, but it'll be a grind up. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to say, okay, my bias, and that's what it is, a premise, a hypothesis is that we would go higher. So what am I going to look for? Am I going to be looking for shorts or longs? Well, I'm going to be looking for more for longs. So I'm going to check my list here. Now, if suddenly it changes, I flip on Monday or Tuesday, if the market starts to really tank, I will be nimble enough to change. But right now, I'm going to have to then choose from the 20 I have in the list. Let me go here for docu and delete it. Remove. Cloudera is potentially a long. So I really only have 19. So out of here, I would have to say, well, which ones have the best setup, or maybe which ones have the best reward to risk. AAP's expensive, options only about $5. APA, that's got $4 or $5 in a $25 stock. So maybe that one would hit my list. Carbonite, it's got a couple of dollars. Let's move on. Cloudera, let's move on. C&Q, yes. GT, probably not. It doesn't have a whole lot of dollars in it. HCSG, yes, because of the gap fill potentially. High 31 to 34. Okay, probably. Ensign move to 2240. Let me skip it. Murphy Oil, yes. NetApp, yes. New Skin, maybe, maybe not. Olin, Perigo only on a breakout. Reggie, okay, but it's probably going to top out here again, or at least pause. It's really only a couple of dollars, or if that. Tenneco, no, just a number of dollars in it. T-Rex, no. Tupperware on a breakout, go to 18. I'll say dollars, no. Unum, yes. Okay, now let's see what we did real quick. And I have 8. That's how I went down from 19 to 8. Those are the best of those. They're still all good setups, and I leave them on my watch list, but I'll concentrate on these 8 first. James, I don't necessarily have that. I really don't. Cup and handle is really just a sharp move up on the left-hand side, and then what do you do on the pullback? It's kind of a judgment thing. So what I do, yeah, Bulkowski does a great job. Chartpatterns.com. I'm not okay. I'm not a fan of saying, "Oh, it's a cup and handle. I'm going to go long." No, it tells me that I did a bearish move followed by a bullish move, and now we're in some sort of small pullback and consolidation. And then I have to wait for some sort of smaller pattern over here that shows that it's bullish. This just gets it on my radar scope. And then to get a buy, I'm going to have to get something else to tell me to go long. Okay. Now, the other one was balance of power. I would say searching over there and try to find on the balance of power, it's a secondary indicator, and all I want to be doing on that one is using it as a confirming indicator that institutions are interested in the stock. And right in here, so I've got a good pattern. I've got a good price action here with a potential pattern that kind of sold off on Friday. But Perigo, it looks good. If it starts trading up here to 58.59, I have no qualms about going long this one because it's breaking out over a previous swing. It has a good pattern here, and Bob is kind of confirming it. Well, go ahead there, Bob. Give me a couple. Man H. And what kind of setups are those? Gonna do a 3-day chart. Kind of weekly. I like the weekly on Man H. I can't say that I'm really a fan of their daily. Okay. And we're on the same wavelength. This is very extended, up from 30 to 50. There's a 3-day. I can see the consolidation breakout. The one thing that gets me is when I look back here, it had 25% of the float short. Let's go to shortsqueeze.com. Go to Medco. And it doesn't have a listing, but it said that 6% decreasing of the short interest, so the shorts are starting to cover. So those are kinds of things that let's go look at it daily. This one's so far extended, I'd like to see a pullback or a consolidation more than what you got. Only because it's moved up so much. It does have good balance of power. Like you were saying, this balance of power on a weekly is just okay. All right, folks, I am going to have to call it quits for this evening. I have to get dinner for the family tonight. I had to tell them that they're going to have to wait till 9 o'clock. So I apologize, but I hope you guys take advantage of the trial offer. Come on down and see us and stop in, say hello. All right, take care. Have a great week. Be safe, be smart. Aloha.